the goal is to bring you your next favorite band.
Thanks for having us. This is a very cool show.
Yeah, so through many iterations, and we finally landed on the weirdest one by far.
Yeah, simple of feelings, and boom, you got a sound.
Yeah.
I remember this one time. I had been writing some songs, and I went out. I'm just going right in on this story. I went out, and so I was.
The story's longer than the song itself. We'll go ahead and play it.
And listen, it's going to be everybody's favorite band. Welcome to your next favorite band. That's both the show title and our promise to you. We here at Stereophilia Studio are tireless in our pursuit of finding incredible, genre-defiant artists who are either a hot, up-and-coming band or a group that has been delivering for years but have flown under the radar. Tonight, Nashville-based alt-rocker and literal poster child for your next favorite band. You just saw him there in the opening, Jon Worthy. Each month, we will bring you live streams, audio podcasts, and perhaps even a live concert where you can listen to the stories and hear the music of artists personally curated by us based on what we feel will be worthy of your time. Be sure to subscribe and tune in to each episode because the possibilities are endless and you never know who will be your next favorite band. Hello, everybody! I am your host, Philip Reese.
Hello, and I am your co-host, David Moore.
And this is
your next favorite band.
David, here we are on a Wednesday night. Normally, weekly content here on your next favorite band, but normally a Tuesday night thing. But because of scheduling, here we are Wednesday.
Yeah, we're trying to keep it interesting by doing a Wednesday one, just for interests of making the calendar have to work a little bit.
Keep it fresh, keep it fun, and
Wacky Wednesday or some sort of middle of the week novelty name.
And we'll even try to, it's a little bit later in start time, so hopefully we're getting some different time zones tonight.
Hey, West Coast,
this is for you. And if you're on listening to the podcast, same crap. It's Thursday morning.
Yeah, it's the same time for you. Yep. In which case, hello. Or good evening, or whatever it is that you're Guten Tag. We have a
that's
couple
true.
German
we do have
listeners.
German. It's still going. Frankfurt, Germany. Thank you so much. You're one of our top fans.
It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna have to do the tour there.
Yes, we're gonna have to do an on-location German, European vacation version of this. Anyway, so yes, feeling sassy tonight. A Wednesday later show, but we are ready to rock and roll, quite literally and figuratively. Couple announcements to make. First, the No Planet B Jamboree. We made some formal announcements this week. We've been teasing some of it and some of it not so teased. Some of it's just stuff we've blatantly told people. But basically, April 16th, and we will be streaming live from the courtyard of the Sun Inn here in downtown Bethlehem. There's a couple of performances.
Historic Sun Inn.
Historic, yes. George Washington stayed there. I believe they say that.
General Lafayette did his actual recovery there while he was...
he convalesced.
Convalesced, yes, exactly. History tonight, too.
Correct, yeah. So, beautiful Sun Inn, great food, great tavern things happening there, and they have this great courtyard, which will be a perfect setting for the No Planet B Jamboree. Lots of great guests, a lot of great music, and two of them. Basically, we're going to try and promote the efforts of two companies, Reverb and Music Declares Emergency. We'll definitely get into more and more of that over time, and they are just two organizations working within the music industry to make it more environmentally friendly, green, smaller carbon footprint, all of that kind of good stuff. So we're going to try and highlight the different good acts that they're doing.
It's going to be cool.
It's going to be
Lorax may make an appearance.
We can't confirm nor deny that one. But if you are anywhere near Bethlehem, you are welcome to join. It'll be a free event. There'll be some live music as well after the episode. And if you are not near Bethlehem, then you can tune in and enjoy the live stream, kind of like this. But also can't thank the current sponsors enough. The Sun Inn, obviously, for the help with the courtyard and getting some coordination there, and Godfrey Daniels, as always, for all the great work they do. If you'd like to be a sponsor, reach out. Let us know. More opportunities there.
Music announcements soon too.
And that's right. Yes, we like drip. The drip.
Well,
marketing.
we have the question marks on there. Maybe the Riddler that's appearing.
Yeah, or what was the one that you said? Mysterio?
Question mark in the Mysterios.
Yeah, that was an actual band. I was like...
Yeah, 69 Questions. You would actually know the song if you heard it. You probably don't. It's like one of those like novelty 60s hits that you would recognize if you heard it.
Sure. So the other thing I wanted to share here was we are continually developing our Spotify channel. So we're going to share the entire screen here, which will go a little Inception for a second, as it gets really weird right there. But then I want to bring up Spotify here. So Spotify channel for your next favorite band building out. We had a couple of cool playlists for songs that changed my ears. Those are just songs that I personally heard throughout my life that kind of opened, kind of my mind to different sounds and different landscapes and so on. Your next favorite song was just songs kind of leading up to before and during we were doing some of the early interviews, was just some songs to throw out there that we liked. We have the 3 to see if you like some of the artists that we've had on. So that's something I'll get on in a second. Also, this one here, this is the new one that I kind of wanted to highlight. So your next favorite song, 2023. So these are songs coming out this year, and different artists and musicians and songs that we've been picking up along the way. Some interviewed, some not. Some wished that we could set up. So kind of wish casting again. But this is just something that we're hoping to bring to you all to continue that music discovery. So this is ways for you to kind of tap into some stuff where it's like, hey, maybe I never would have heard these songs before. So again, some of them are people we have interviewed, like Emily Drinker and Jackson Pines, Accidentals and so on. But then other ones are just simply great music by like people like Black Belt, Eagle Scout, Brian Jonestown Massacre, Miss Grit. These are just all great stuff here. Future guests, Sean Barna, he's going to be on the show in April. So it's ways to get kind of know them. So anyway, I mentioned there that we have these 3 to see, and we kind of break them out by season as well. So this is the current season we're in here. We cut the year into 3-4 month kind of chunks. So for January through April 2023, Terrible Orange Things, 3 songs, Emily Drinker, Corinne Mamana, Fig for a Kiss. The samples, and tonight's guest, Jon Worthy. So here's the 3 songs there. All I'm saying is a song we're about to play. So let me stop the sharing so we can get back to reality.
Oh, we're going to make a Soul to Soul reference there.
Exactly right. And one last thing here that I wanted to share was for the live stream, I do actually put thought into the shirt that I wear for each guest that we bring on. And so, for example, sometimes it's dead on the nose. Last week we did an interview with Sean Kelly of the Samples, and I wore a Samples t-shirt. So that was just me honoring the fact that they're super cool. But other times it's a little bit more subtle, but it always is something I put some thought into. And so if you're going to have Jon Worthy on the show, arguably I should be wearing no shirt because he's such a rock star. He very often ends up at that point, probably about 3-4 songs into his set, but no one wanted to see me with no shirt on. So he often will go rock out with a very cool button down. So that's what I went with tonight.
Yeah, it has a pattern on it that if I cross my eyes, it works like one of those magic eye stereogram things. I believe. Is that a sailboat?
It's a schooner.
Oh, darn. I stared at that thing for weeks.
Yes. And so let's bring in some music. This the video for All I'm Saying takes a little bit of setup in that. He had a great video out called Don't You Feel It? It was a very highly well-produced video. Pretty awesome. And this one is almost like either an epilogue or chapter 2 or whatever. So it starts with the end of the Don't You Feel It song, and then it kind of leads into kind of a fun story. We played that video earlier at a different time that Jon was on the show, so we figured this would be a cool kind of continuation of things. So here is All I'm Saying by Jon Worthy.
Mr. Worthy?
And the video also features a lot of cast of characters that we'll talk about throughout the interview, so that'll be fun as well.
So, tell me everything.
Based out of Nashville for almost 10 years, Jon Worthy is a musician and producer whose sound has been described as if Nirvana had a baby with Lumineers. Jon shares, quote, "I'm comfortable with whatever anybody listening to my music wants to call me. I make the music I want to make." Playing over 100 shows a year while working a full-time job, he continues, quote, "Live, I'm pure adrenaline, energy, and passion." In 2022, he made the leap to being a full-time musician. Jon has released 3 full-length albums along with EPs and singles. With over 80 songs released and a new album currently slated, he has had tracks placed in programs on Netflix, Major League Baseball, USA Networks, and more. Jon is also busy with his side project, KJ Wild, featuring Nashville artist, songwriter Kiki Halliday. His newest single, I Don't Care What You Say, is set for release March 29th, 2023.
Let's some more of this play. Jon, you got chloroformed there. I didn't remember that part. Anyway, welcome to the show, Jon Worthy.
Hey Phil, hey David, how are you guys?
We are great. Well, thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for switching the schedule up and making this work.
Oh, it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. We've got to tell your story because you've been on the show a number of times, but never for an episode like this. It was usually either something kind of short and quick around Music Fest, or you might have been playing at the Levitt stage, but we wanted to have you on for something like more traditional here where we can tell your story and promote some of the stuff you got coming up.
Yeah, this is great. I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, we're going to let that play in the background while we chat a little bit, but tell us a little bit more about the video here because, like I said, the setup was that it was a continuation of the very, very cool video you had for Don't You Feel It Too, and you did this kind of Joker thing, and it was just kind of capturing a really cool vibe there, but very, very awesome just continuing the story there.
Yeah, this one was more of a DIY video than the Don't You Feel It video, but we knocked this out, I think, in like 5 or 6 hours. It was just 2 locations in front of the mural, and then my girlfriend's old house. And she's also the therapist that you see in there, Kate.
Yeah,
therapy.
So we were David mentioned in the opening there, you do have this other project, KJ Wild. It features you and Kiki Halliday, and that's who the therapist was in this video, and it even says KH Theory in the background. Not this therapist, the other
at the beginning.
Right.
It's a longer song than you think, if that's the end result.
Watch the videos if you really want to find out what's going on. But
that's right.
Yeah, that was just a video with friends and just making something fun in a pretty short amount of time. And I think it did a good job of continuing the story of Don't You Feel It?
Oh, it absolutely did, for sure. The thing about that video too is it features a lot of your obviously your bandmates as well, and I kind of wanted to make sure we touched on that as well. You got well, I don't want to take it away from you. You got Kid Brother and such in there in the band.
Yeah, Kid Brother on the bass, and he also tours with me quite a bit. And then there's Eric Entile on guitar, and he's played I think he's played 2 Music Fests now.
Mm-hmm.
And Jason, who is the drummer in that video and the ending therapist, he actually plays guitar mostly, and he played guitar when we came back after Music Fest one year for a post Labor Day show.
Yes, yeah, and we should talk about that because, for one, you crushed Music Fest in 2021, and they brought you back for the Labor Day weekend just on the Lovett stage here, which we've talked about a bunch, but it's an awesome outdoor stage. And you said yes to this, knowing you had to drive from Alabama to us, which you said was about 10 to 12 hours on the upper end of that, mainly because of a funny moment. Well, not so funny at the time, I'm sure, but Kid Brother had a lapse of judgment or something like that.
Yeah, I'd say it's like 50% chance of him forgetting something at a show, and this happened to be one of those times where he left his wallet. And of course, we get an hour into the drive, and it's already 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
you can't let a guy leave and go on a weekend run without his wallet. So
no,
we had to make the hour drive back to Florence, Alabama, and then continue our drive to Bethlehem.
Woof.
But it all worked out.
And
it was a long day.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He had
to do the overnight shift, I'm sure.
He did the graveyard, like 2 to 6 a.m. shift as punishment.
Yes. Probably more than once, I would hope. But another thing about that show, so I mentioned it in the opening that you are the literal poster child for your next favorite band, in that you are the silhouette in our main branding images. And it was from that show that you drove, all night for. So I just kind of wanted to show it quick for people. This here is the original image. So that's, there's Kid Brother doing his very typical, kind of spread pose while he plays awesome bass, drum and guitar. And then this is you in silhouette, which I just thought was a very, very cool image that was just captured by pure luck, to be honest.
By you, right?
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
I did take the picture. And then we turned it into this. So this is mostly what you'll see, where it's a little bit kind of jazzed up a little bit, brought out more of the oranges, fuzzed out things, and made it a little bit more kind of like something you might see, hopefully, in a professional production. And then even like our image for the podcast, the little tile thing, kind of features that as well. So there you are. There is Jon Worthy, poster child for your next favorite band, and hopefully becomes your next favorite band after this evening.
That's right. Yeah,
if not already.
Photo.
If not already, because you have quite the following. But also that same day, earlier that day, this is you and the band coming on the live stream that George Wacker was doing with Lehigh Valley with Love, and I just kind of reached out that I was like, hey, you want to come on this live stream? And you're such a nice person that you said yes to this total knucklehead who reached out, and it was pretty awesome. So thank you for inspiring me to keep that going.
Yeah, it's always nice when someone reaches out to you, as like an independent band to promote yourself. So you can't pass up those opportunities. And fortunately, we've developed, a relationship and
sure
been able to keep in touch and communicate every time we, something's happening with Music Fest or whatever it may be. So it's been great.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you were on about a year ago because we were promoting it was like the 32 bands in Nashville. Like they do like what is it? Like a Lightning 100 or something.
City Mayhem. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but we're promoting even bigger deals this year, so we'll get to that in a second. Why don't we take people back to the beginning? And did you grow up with Kid Brother? Was he in Pittsburgh with you?
He is. We are both from Pittsburgh. We actually met at a bar in Nashville called Alley Taps.
Oh, that's too funny.
I was playing a writer's round, and he moved here with a band from Pittsburgh, and the singer of that band was playing in the same round as me. And he came up to me after I played, and we just got to talking about music, and eventually we started jamming. So we met. But I grew up in Pittsburgh, and started taking guitar lessons when I was about 13. And then
you it kind of was inspiring for you to watch what was it, VH1 Behind the Music, Guns N' Roses, right?
Yeah. Fell in love with Slash, just hair in front of his face, drinking Jack Daniels on stage, and just all the amazing stories that come from the Guns N' Roses crazy days.
Yep,
and just all that lore, and that's kind of what got me started. And I wouldn't say I was like a serious guitarist or musician until really college, when I just found myself with a little more free time, and eventually started really learning songs and then trying to recreate them in my own way.
Sure.
And that's how I kind of got into songwriting. and then from there, was able to join a band in college called a crazy classic college band. We called ourselves Love Stain, and we played the
That's around good on a marquee.
Yeah, around Penn State, right?
Yeah, the 3-hour cover band, type shows. But we
nice.
We loved it, and that's kind of how I started honing my chops as a performer. And then I moved to Nashville.
What years was that you were in Penn State? Because we might actually have some people who are listening that went during those years.
So we played a lot in 2012 and 2013.
Got it.
Okay, so give or take 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
And
so if you know the band Love Stain, it became Jon Worthy and all of his greatness.
And one of my first outfits, Phil, that you alluded to earlier was on graduation day. I wore my gown open chested on stage, and it did eventually come off in that show. That was like great. The first time I ever did something like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it is kind of now become a thing that you go to a Jon Worthy show and whatever he's wearing will most likely not be there shortly into the set.
That's
Yeah,
right.
there's like an over-under bet at the merch tent on how many songs in.
How many songs? So you graduate college and now you are going to make the decision, I guess. The part is like, do you stay in the Pittsburgh area or do you move to somewhere a little bit more music oriented, and you pick Nashville?
Right.
I imagine that's got to be maybe not a tough decision, but I mean, it's got to be a little bit intimidating at a minimum. But your family is so supportive that I got to think they were behind you the whole way.
Yeah, I'll never forget sitting in the car. I was in the back seat. My parents were driving in the passenger seat, and I was like, "Mom and Dad, I think I've decided that I'm going to move to Nashville after I graduate. I don't know what you guys think, but I'm going to do it." And they're like, "John, whatever you believe in yourself, we believe in you. So we're fully behind that." And so that was a nice thing to hear.
Sure.
And I'd never been to Nashville until I moved, and moved into a pretty crummy apartment, and with low, cheap rent. There was it's sad, but there was a homeless person sleeping outside our door when my mom left after she dropped us off, and she was like, "Oh my God, what did I get my son into?" So just, not the best of circumstances to start, but it was a great learning experience. And our neighbor ended up being in the first band I was in called Easy Roscoe.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up being in our band. And so I was in Easy Roscoe for about 4 years. And eventually everyone kind of moved all over the country, and we kind of went our separate ways. And during the end of that time, I decided to start recording some songs that I had written and sing on them as well. And that was kind of the birth of the project Jon Worthy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you've said it before that like Jon Worthy with quotes around it isn't always like what you are putting yourself out there as in Nashville. It's something that kind of is outside of it, but I'm thinking that must have changed a little bit.
So you got Jon Worthy and the Bends is kind of like whenever I play a live show, the Bends is not necessarily a set group of people. It's really whoever I can get to come out on the road.
It's whoever's behind you.
Whoever's available.
And does that come from Radiohead at all, or is it just a word you chose?
No, are we allowed to reference like any sort of
sure
outside extracurricular activities?
Absolutely. No, yeah.
So I was just in the kitchen with my buddy one night. We decided to get pretty high and just spit around band names. And after like an hour of that, we stuck on the Bends. So
it's a very I always like
it has no real meaning except that we thought it sounded cool that night when we were stoned.
That sounds much less like a stoned band name at that point in time. That one actually sounds like you put effort into it. Like that would fit on a marquee versus, like a stoned one would be like 18 words long.
There's definitely a lot of those too.
Yeah.
That came out of that session.
Yeah. We famously have a running list of bizarre band names that if you want to add a few of those ones that didn't make the cut, we would love to add them.
Yeah, I'll have to think back and make sure I can come up with a few.
Or we could just all get stoned again and see what comes up. You hit some very quick successes, or at least the reception is high. And so you have a couple albums there, and one even gets produced by Lincoln Parrish of Cage the Elephant, right?
Yeah, that was amazing.
I was gonna say that must be really super cool.
They've always been one of my favorite bands, and I just happened to play a show with a friend named Moat. His artist name is Moat, and he was buddies with Lincoln Parrish. And I asked him who did his most recent song, and he said it was Lincoln. So he put us in touch, and I went over to Lincoln's home studio, and we just kind of chatted about what I was thinking as far as my next album, what kind of songs, and we seemed to vibe really well. And I obviously knew what kind of music he was into, so it seemed like a good fit. And we made an album over pretty much a whole summer. I think it's a 10-song album. So he played guitar on about half of them. He even played some piano, and it was just a really awesome experience getting to work with someone like that, who's had such crazy success.
Sure.
And
yeah.
Also getting his amazing skills on
his guidance on it. Yeah. So I'm going to take a moment here to play a little bit more music of yours. This is again live from that show that you did on the Levitt stage, just to keep people kind of continual flavor of your style of music. And this is a little bit more of the live feel. So I'm going to let this play out, and we can talk about it a little bit. Such a great show. You guys just
I think I can hear my little brother in there.
Yes. I was sitting next to him for sure. I love that guitar too. That black guitar is so cool.
Telecaster.
Yeah. But anything you want to share? I was kind of taking a flyer there that might have come from the album that Lincoln produced, but
no, that's actually going to be on this upcoming album.
Future? Oh, very cool.
On the next one. I've been playing that song for probably a year and a half now live. It's one of my favorite songs I've ever written, and it's got a lot of meaning to it. It's if you listen to the lyrics, it's from the viewpoint of a woman, but you can kind of tie it back to me maybe with a lot of the words in there and the story behind it and the journey that the person's on. And that's just one of my favorite songs to play live, and I'm excited for people to hear the studio version too.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that out too, because like a lot of the songs you play are, higher, more upbeat, high. I don't mean to say that's down, but it's just showing more of the kind of diversity that you have when you bring a show. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, I would say when I record, I don't try and go into it with, okay, this is what we're gonna try and make it sound like this. We can play live and in the studio, kind of like it doesn't need to sound the same. I just try and make the best sounding recording I can, and if that means adding all kinds of crazy elements that we're probably not going to be able to recreate live, that's fine. Because live, I just want to bring energy, and I want to show the true passion of the song, and that's mostly just maybe a couple guitars, bass, and drums and vocals.
But it also shows the quality of the song, though, that it can both be performed, as you said, 2 guitars, bass, drums, vocal, and then in the studio you can layer on all of the, like, I want to do 82 stacked guitars all in the left speaker.
Right. Yeah. That's, and honestly, like I write most of my songs just on the acoustic guitar and singing. So it translates pretty well.
Sure.
It's just there's not as much going on live, except for the energy, I hope, makes up for that.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt of the energy. I mean, we'll probably continue to talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, and I do have one other video to really show the energy of a Jon Worthy show. But before we get there, there's 2 questions I think are the most boring in an interview. One is, what was the band name from? But I still asked it anyway because I kind of wanted to know. The other one is, how did the pandemic hit you? And we're going to talk about that right now. But it speaks to your songwriting, because during the pandemic, you didn't take that as a, obviously all your shows are getting canceled. You were typically a more touring musician, somewhere between 150 and 200 shows in a year, I would think I read somewhere. But then all of a sudden that gets turned off. But you just build a home studio and you start writing music, and you're extremely successful with, David shared it in the bio, where it's Netflix, which was at least one show called 20 Somethings. The Major League Baseball used your music, USA networks. And so there's tons of, and then more since I've probably even, developed that, or you probably had another one this evening. But the point is, a lot of success there. And David shared it as well in the bio, is that it was so much so that you've been able to declare yourself a full-time musician.
Yeah. And it's, it definitely the pandemic changed my life in a huge way. Like before, I was, like you said, pretty much fully just a touring artist, and I would write songs, get a band together, and we'd record them kind of in the traditional sense of everyone would play their own part. We'd track live and do some overdubs with vocals and maybe some lead guitar. But with all those shows canceled and really nothing to plan towards, I just found myself with all this time, and I credit Kiki, my bandmate / girlfriend. She was at the time doing a lot of vocals for hire. People would pay her. She's a beautiful singer to sing songs, whether it be songs that they've written or just like recreations of songs. She would get paid, and she had a little studio set up that she knew how to manage and get great sounding vocals. So she just kind of recommended that maybe that's something you could spend your time doing with all this downtime.
Sure.
And just dove right in and fell in love with it. And honestly, that's like been a huge blessing, because I make a lot more money doing that now than I do touring. And I just sit right here at my desk.
Right. Because sometimes it's not like you wrote a song and they buy it to put it in the video, like the episode. Sometimes they're coming to you saying, we need music to score the background of something, and it needs to be either sad or scary or whatever, right? Like they're bringing you stuff to kind of write for a purpose, right?
Yeah, so I'll typically get, they call them creative briefs, and it's pretty detailed. It's like buzzwords to use maybe in the chorus.
Sure.
Structure, examples of songs that it should maybe sound similar to, kind of like, should the mix be very polished, or should it be a little rougher? It's very detailed, giving you a good sense of how to craft this song.
Yeah.
Just go and write and produce the song from there. And it's really an amazing creative outlet for me to be able to do that.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely cool. It's like getting a prompt and then running with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's where all those high school English courses are paying off, finally.
And I got to write, I wrote 16 songs for a musical last year.
Fun.
Called that, I think it's just called Feelings now, but a woman from LA had found my music online, and she thought I'd be a good fit. So we did like one test song, and then she really liked it. So she hired me to write the rest of the songs.
11 more to go.
Yeah. So that was amazing.
That was interesting. You had to write in character voices, basically. I mean, that's an interesting challenge to do.
So fortunately, I got to sing it. I guess what you mean is like different characters within the song.
Yeah. I didn't necessarily mean it like to modulate your voice, but I meant like you had to write from different viewpoints of like plot pointed characters, kind of thing. Yeah. Versus, like just a general impression.
Is there anything out there to link to, like that production or a website about it or anything?
There's a website. Yeah. I don't know if she's like taken it to full production yet, but I think it's in development.
Sure.
But you can
we'll definitely link to it. Yeah.
That's real. I mean, I think that kind of stuff is really interesting. It also shows the abilities of you as a songwriter. That, it's another thing to be able to write. It's one thing to be able to write your own things because you have your own experiences and your own thoughts and your own feelings. It's another thing to be able to also write on commission, which is a whole different set of skills. It's a different way to have to articulate things, and I think that's impressive.
Totally, because everything you said about the prompt and the hints and so on, and then it was probably also, and by the way, we need it by Thursday.
Right. Yeah, it's always pretty tight deadlines.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing after this interview.
Right. Yeah. We need to end this because I got to write something for Hulu.
Right.
Anything you can specifically point to? Like I mentioned this 20-somethings show that you had something on. Is there a specific episode or whatever, or a different show to point to where you can say, hey, that was mine?
Yeah, the 20-somethings, I want to say it was episode 2, and that was a really good use of the song. The scene was a aspiring comic, and he goes to this open mic and he absolutely bombs, and he comes back to his room. This is a reality like dating show, and he comes back into his room and he just starts trashing his room, throwing his clothes everywhere, flipping the sheets up, and my song starts coming on. It's called "Help Me," and it's just this guy in his room going crazy while I'm screaming in the background, "Help me." So they did a good job of using my song for that one.
Yes.
Some other recent ones. So it wouldn't actually say my name because of the way the company works, but I wrote and produced the song that was on one of the episodes of Love Island, and
cool.
Kiki actually sang it. So they're doing like the voting off of one of the couples or something, and they're playing my song. I'm actually not supposed to say my song, but it's a song that
it's
I helped
fine.
write.
Yeah. In this space, we're in a trust circle here.
And then I actually haven't seen the episodes yet, but I was on it's a Fox show called $1 Billion Idea. I've heard it's similar to like Shark Tank, and they find entrepreneurs. And
Right.
They used 3 of my songs for that, and then
how did they use it for
your songs will become the $1 billion idea?
That's right. Yeah, maybe the $1 billion idea is sign Jon Worthy to a record deal. How did they use it for the Major League Baseball? Because I know you're a big fan. Like you're a Pirates fan.
Yeah. It was actually so Fox, AT&T or whatever, like the Pittsburgh version of Fox.
Sure.
They used 3 of my songs, just like post game highlights. And then I think one of them got used in like a in game commercial, which was really cool.
Yeah.
So that was fun. Just to, like my brother filmed it one night and while I was watching the game and sent it to
Not
me.
kid brother, cool. Your actual brother.
My actual blood brother.
Who is your big big supporter on social media.
My hype man, yeah.
Yeah. Your hype man, exactly.
He's your Flava Flav.
Yeah, there you go.
That's right.
So we've mentioned Kiki a good bit. I have Sad Story here. Do you want me to put that up a little bit?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Cool. So this is KJ Wild. I'm guessing K for Kiki, J for John. See, I'm all over this. This was. Did you release an album, an EP? What did you release on this?
So we've only released 2 songs.
Two songs. Okay.
We have 6 coming down the pipeline at some point this year.
Yeah. So this is a very cool video and a song called Sad Story. And again, it kind of show the full universe of what Jon is capable of writing. So here is Sad Story by KJ Wild.
I medicate, abuse it. I think I'm gonna blow it up. Am I the main character of this sad story? Or is this tale overrated and a little bit boring? I could be the villain, I could be your best friend.
This is one of those tracks that I find myself humming as I just walk around the house. It's so catchy. It's got that earwormy pop kind of thing in such a great way.
That's what we're going for.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, this is great. How is the songwriting I mean, again, such a different style than what we're typically used to from you. So is it kind of like wearing different hats or outfits for you by a different mindset, or is it one more challenging than the other? Or?
This is way easier to write song. Kiki is like one of the most unbelievable melody creators I've ever met. She's like anything you play, she'll come up with an awesome melody. So a lot of it's just like, we try not to be too formal with it because we are in a relationship, so we don't want to push the boundaries like all the time. So a lot of it's like after dinner, maybe we've had a couple of drinks, I'll just be playing the guitar and she'll just like start singing and it will turn into a song like that.
Right.
That's a lot of the way it works. Some of these songs we went into, we worked with a different producer on all these songs named Adam Egan, and he's an amazing artist and songwriter, producer himself. So he helped write, I think, 3 of the 6 songs that we did with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he added a lot of his flavor to it. So that was a very cool kind of 3-way writing session that we had. And it was almost like having another member in the band while writing those songs, which is really neat.
That is
but
cool.
yeah, it's with Kiki, it's so easy. Like with me, I have to really sit down and think about the lyrics and like, what do I want to say? But she's just so fast and so quick with the melodies and the lyrics. It's awesome.
That's so fun.
What John's not saying is there's a creative brief that's sent over with a whole list of
from
things.
She is the creative brief.
Yeah.
So we came on today, like we chatted a bit. Obviously we wanted to have you on just inherently, but there is a purpose for tonight, in that you have new music coming out, and you even said you might be able to play it tonight. Is that true?
Yeah, I'm going to play the first single.
That's excellent. And one of the things we're asking for people to consider is you're running a crowdfunding campaign to be able to press some vinyl and do some publicity for it. So I'm going to bring that up here if you want to chat about it, because I'm going to share the web page while you talk a little bit.
Yeah, so I've done a few in the past for different things, and I've always used Indiegogo.
And that's this here, right?
As you can see, it's already been pretty successful. I will say I set the goal a little modestly. I didn't realize how expensive it is to press vinyl.
Sure.
And
people should know, even like from what I understand, if you don't hit the goal, you don't get the money or something like that. So you kind of have to set it with the anticipation of definitely hitting it. And then if you go over it, all you can do is do more with it. So don't be fooled by the thermometer. There's still plenty of need for something like this. And that was another reason why I wanted to make sure that we had a moment to kind of share this. We'll obviously share the link in the show notes, but also kind of promote it. And then there's certain, like if you kind of donate in these different categories, there's some perks for it, correct?
Yes. So I kind of tried to name them along the lines of like you're in a studio setting and you get a name when you contribute. So you got like the assistant, the performer, and then I think the next one's the producer and executive producer, and then the VIP. So I just tried to set it up, and and if you don't, you can. I think the lowest you can do is like a $10 just donation.
Sure.
So if totally understandable if you don't want to give a lot, but anything goes a long way here, and
yeah, for sure.
It just, like you said, it just helps me get more printed and just make it the highest quality product I can.
Yeah, getting vinyl produced is very difficult, to the point where the biggest rock band in the world just had to buy a vinyl company in order to get theirs produced at the volume they need. Metallica literally just bought a vinyl pressing company to get theirs printed at their volume they need.
Yeah, I was talking to a local artist last week, and she did a crowdfunding campaign for hers, and she said it took her like 10 months from her first email to actually getting them shipped to her. So it's pretty crazy. But it's always been, it's just nothing like a vinyl album, and it's always been a dream to open up that vinyl packaging and have my own album. So it'd be really cool.
Yeah, I totally understand. And I mean, there's something about the physical presence. There's an intentionality to the music at that point in time. You put this side on, things like that are really something I think is part of the listening experience. It is just sometimes gets lost. Yeah,
and I mean, it would be my 4th album, and I think I've gotten better as time's gone on. So I'm excited to share these songs, and a lot of them are ones that I don't play live or haven't played live ever. So it will be brand new songs for people to hear. And the ones that I have already played live, I think have come across very well.
Well, yeah, obviously the one that I wanted to share tonight was what is in that group, where it's something that I'm looking for. So it would be great to have.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. So I'm going to take us off the screen, let you have center stage, and you can tickle our eardrums with your forthcoming single.
Yeah. So this song is called I Don't Care What You Say. It's the first single off the album. And I wrote this one probably 2 years ago, and it's been recorded for about a year and a half. I've just kind of been sitting on it, waiting for my next album to come out. And it's one of my favorite songs I've ever written. Super energetic and fun. And it does have more of that live band feel. There's not a ton of layers in it. And it's just kind of, it can take on a story of, it definitely has like a relationship in there, but it's also just not really caring what people think and say about you. And I think that's for a lot of people, that's a good way to go through life if you can. And yeah, hope you enjoy it. This is called I Don't Care What You Say.
You got a spell over me that I've been trying to hide. It's in the way that you move and the curves of your eyes. I wanna give you the world if only you would believe. I got a feeling we'll find all the things that you need. And now you're letting me go, and then you tell me to stay. And now you're turning me on, it's like nothing has changed. It's the days that we lost, it's the days that you love. It's the feeling we're fine, it's the feeling you love. I don't care what you say. Do you remember the days when this was nothing but love? It's written in your eyes the way you're trying to run. I know there's something to say about the things I believe, but I will give you the world and all the things that you need. And now you're letting me go, and then you tell me to stay. And now you're turning me on, it's like nothing has changed. It's the days that we lost, it's the days that you love. It's the feeling we're fine, it's the feeling you love. It's the falling apart, and it's feeling the same. Now I'm letting you down, it's like nothing has changed. It's the end of the world, but I can't let it go. Now I'm waiting around for something to blow. I don't care what you say. Give it time, I'll find a place to go. All the days you said you didn't know. I believe in all the ways of love. I don't want to hear that you won't show. And now you're letting me go, and then you tell me to stay. And now you're turning me on, it's like nothing has changed. It's the days that we lost, it's the days that you love. It's the feeling we're fine, it's the feeling you love. It's the falling apart, and it's feeling the same. Now I'm letting you down, it's like nothing has changed. It's the end of the world, but I can't let it go. Now I'm waiting around for something to blow. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say.
Awesome. Awesome. That was terrific.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you so much for playing that.
Yeah.
The official release is the 29th of March. So everyone get
And
on
you heard it
board.
here first.
That's right. First podcast version of I Don't Care What You Say.
Awesome. Yes, we love that.
We're going to light up the Napsters.
Acoustic exclusives. That's right, yeah.
That's right.
Napster. Anyway, Jon, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you for sharing your story and talking us through all these very, very cool songs and moments, and especially performing that. Obviously, everyone, check out the donation page. Again, like he said, there's, every little bit would help and count, and it's certainly a way to kind of support a local artist who's making some great music. And any shows or festivals yet to confirm for the summer?
Yeah, I did get into a festival. I forget which part of Michigan, but it's called Holler Fest, which should be fun, and that's at the end of August. I'm excited about that one.
Awesome.
And Kiki and I are actually we're going to Europe again, and it's we just love to travel, and we set it up as more of a vacation. But we ended up booking a show in Lisbon, Portugal, Tel Aviv, Israel, and Valencia, Spain. So that'll be really cool to playing 3 shows in Europe.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's really far west or all the way at the east side of the Mediterranean at that point in time.
And you're going to backpack and walk it the whole way.
That's right. So KJ Wild's playing Europe this summer, so that'll be cool.
We need T-shirts that say, European tour.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, always a pleasure, Jon. Great to hear,
thank you guys.
all the great success you're having, and can't wait to check out another show this summer at some point for sure. We're going to play the awesome guitar solo that you did from Music Fest 2021 at the end. So we're going to say goodbye to you here. We're going to close out the show, and then after the credits, we'll let people enjoy the high energy, Jon Worthy, incredible, outstanding whack guitar solo. Jon, thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great night.
David.
Phillip.
So we did this thing last week with, we had so much great music to share with Sean Kelly that we played something after the credits, and I kind of liked it. So
you've become Marvel is what you're saying. You've decided to put in the post-credit sequence. So we're going to end up with a mid-credit sequence when things really get out of control.
I didn't plan it that way. To be honest, I'm actually stealing it from Dan Drago, the 25 O'Clock podcast host. He does it this way.
Can we have Ant-Man make an appearance or something like that at the end?
Maybe, I don't know. Some sort of multiverse, I suppose. But yeah, so we'll close out the show, and then definitely people don't miss out on this. This is such a great solo, and if you're listening on the podcast, it'll be very enjoyable. But definitely jump over to the closing of the YouTube version because it's pretty awesome. Anyway,
all right, Phil, let's say goodbye to everybody.
Enjoyed this episode of Your Next Favorite Band, we'd like to sincerely thank Jon Worthy for all of his great stories, sharing his music, and also playing live tonight. That was absolutely phenomenal. There will be links in the show notes to all of the different things you heard, particularly, most importantly, the crowdfunding for the vinyl, but also some of those great things that you heard us talk about, including the 12 songs he wrote for a musical. I can't wait to check that out myself. That was news to me. As always, our hope here on the show is to bring you your next favorite band. If you happen to already know and love Jon Worthy, then thank you for tuning in. We hope that you liked what you heard and subscribe, follow us, and tune in future shows so that we can find you your next favorite band. If you have a thought of who you think our next favorite band should be, let us know either through email on the website or direct message through the socials, different ways to get to us, and we would love to take a listen. Also, if you want to, if you're a musician, you think you want to come on the show, or if you want to be a sponsor of the show, let us know that as well. But we are looking forward to some more killer episodes coming up, and hope we catch a live show soon.
It's all over now.